فما زلت ذا عفو عن الذنوب لم تزل تجود وتعفو منة وتكرما.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Jollof after Jummah. Alhamdulillah, we are back. Apologies for in fact, I'm going to stop saying apologies for the missed episode because at the end of the day, we got things to do.
Trust me.
And obviously, as we said when we went off for that little break, we said we're on the quality over quantity thing. So obviously, inshallah, every 2 weeks is the plan. But if that doesn't happen, then just know that there's a good reason. And we want to just kind of strive to make sure the quality is high. Obviously, as always, subscribe, leave reviews, comments, all of that stuff, which helps us, inshallah. Try to share the podcast as well. I know there's a lot of people, we've got a strong core people, alhamdulillah, that have really enjoy and apparently, alhamdulillah, benefit from what we're saying. So that is the aim. So if you are benefiting or enjoying, then allow somebody else to do so too. And yeah, man. We've got a special guest making his. Is this the quad?
No, this is 4, isn't it?
Is this the quad?
I think it is 4. Yeah.
Yeah, he stretched his neck out into the lead again. He stretched his neck out. He heard Waj was on. I don't know, but Waj's episode didn't come out.
Oh, yeah.
So he's even extended the lead. Yeah, so alhamdulillah. But yeah, it didn't come out because a certain man anyway, which are gonna get added every time. Red pill Donny's there. Anyway, alhamdulillah, yeah. So yeah, bro, Taofiq is here. The intro quickly.
Yeah, so alhamdulillah once again. One of the brothers from the masjid, grew up with these man, and yeah, always available to show love to these man for what they're doing. Alhamdulillah, we do need a platform to talk to Muslim brothers and also sisters who might also be interested in a male opinion and perspective, which increasingly we think is important for people to hear and be sensitized to.
Politician.
Just for better life generally. So yeah, alhamdulillah, glad to be here.
See that politician? That was fantastic. Obviously, more on that later. Just think, I know I alluded to it before, but we was away at one of our annual retreats, which we call summer camp, which you've heard us mention before, with all the kids and stuff, as you may have seen on our social media. And yeah, so we went up to basically, not too many clips. And we went basically up to Wales. I don't know, somewhere close to Wales or Southwest, with 70 odd kids, and yeah, man, just did some workshops, lectures, on the theme of being a confident Muslim, and that's where we was. So yeah, man, and obviously for us, bonding time, chilling away from work, it's always sick. So alhamdulillah. Yeah, so I thought I'd start off because I mentioned that there was a story of something that just happened to me literally 10 minutes ago. So and yeah, so obviously we're in Peckham. So when in Peckham, you do as the Peckhams do. Jeez. The Peckhamites do. So yeah, so basically yesterday, I got home and I went to my mum's house and found out that her phone was stolen. And
like pickpocketed or
so
give me your phone.
So my mum was in the hairdresser and don't get your hair done in Peckham. Anyway, she was in the hairdresser and her phone went missing essentially. Like she was looking, she moved from one chair to another, and at one point anyway, looking for her phone and it was missing. Couldn't find it. And some of the staff in the shop, firstly, they were acting very defensive. That's the first thing. Very defensive in terms of, why would we take your phone? And my mum wasn't accusing it. My mum never accused one person of taking her phone. All she wanted to do was look for her phone. And these people in the shop, who are also Nigerians, made comments like, oh, it's not a pin you're looking for. Like, basically, why are you looking as if you're going to find the phone, on the floor or under a chair? Like, it's not a pin. If your phone was here, you would have seen it. Basically, like... That's very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. That's one. Second thing was the fact that so that was one, and two is as I alluded to before, how defensive they were being in terms of nobody here will take your phone, so it's not here, that type of thing. So yesterday, after hearing that, first thing I did was was not happy. I was gonna say went mad, but we don't condone that. So I wasn't happy. And I went over, so I went over to the shop, and the way the shop is, there's some sort of like a, I don't know, some sort of shop on upstairs, and then downstairs you can see it from outside. There's the salon, and so it's kind of out of the public street. It's under the ground basically. It's in the basement, and the guys that run the shop on the top floor, and I think he's the one that owns the land, was like, like, what are you doing here? Nobody's here. You're not going to find anyone here. Because I was like, have you got the keys to this place? Because I want to turn this place upside down to look for the phone. But essentially the words I gave him was essentially like, what you need to tell them is that, or keep calling her, and I stayed there for like half an hour, but keep calling her, text her and say that there will be problems if this phone doesn't turn up. And this may sound like, I'm good, but there was a method to this. I was angry, but I don't lose my temper going mad. That's not my style. And plus, it's a shop full of women, so what am I going to do? I'm not going to start fighting women. So yeah, but the message was clear. That was like, my objective was for him, and maybe alhamdulillah is better that I didn't go and see those people straight away and they'd left, because man said, through him, I can just be as angry and scary as I want, because he's going to pass it. All he's going to do is transmit this message. And to these people, whatever he passes them on, it's probably going to be twice as scary and twice as intimidating coming from some third party to know that this man is coming at 6 o'clock tomorrow and he is going to turn the shop upside down. And he said if he doesn't get the phone, he'll be back the next day and he'll carry on looking for the phone. So I went there today as promised. I got there and then I said, who's the manager? What do you want to say? Who's the manager? Where's the manager? And typically more defensive stuff. Starts telling me stories about, we're not being rude. We know her, we've seen her before, but the woman was just saying that, you're not gonna, like, almost trying to flip it. Oh, you're not gonna find the phone, so maybe you should look somewhere else and blah blah blah. So all I'm gathering from this is, so you're discouraging the woman from looking for her phone instead of helping her look for her phone when she's looking for her phone. Cool. Next later, they're like, and just because I know, and talking about how she went to church and everybody in this shop is, I know them all, I trust them all, and nobody in this shop will steal from Rue, blah, blah, blah. And when the man came to pass the message, I promise you, I swear to God, that while he's even talking, I opened the drawer and I saw the phone.
Right. Coast, mate.
Story. What's
Coast,
upon the
mate.
time?
I made a very point that I'm not going to accuse anybody specific in this shop. I'm not going to accuse anybody. All I'm going to say is that I believe somebody in this phone stole it. And the only way there's not going to be problems is if the phone turns up. Because if the phone turns up, I'm not going to cause any problems. I'm not going to carry on. But if the phone turns up, then we can say that the phone was found. Whatever. I'm not going to do Professor Layton and investigate. I'm not going to investigate. There's no problem. That's what I asked him to say as well. Lo and behold, it turns up. And yeah, man. And it's that, you can ask the man. I promise, I swear to God, it just turned up. I thought to myself, firstly, and I checked, and I moved it. She was like, "Where's the phone?" I went there. I was like, "Okay, there's signal. Okay, good." And then I went and I googled when you, and this is why I stood there on the side, because I wanted to get my facts right before I went and engaged again. Okay, if the phone's off, the tracker won't work. Because obviously we did the tracker, all that stuff. Yeah. Alarm. If the phone has no signal, then it will tell you where it was 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers. So none of that worked last night. So I said, was the phone on? She said, yes, the phone was on. Okay, fantastic. So no one turned it. So why wasn't the tracker working? Oh, there's no signal. The phone. I checked. The phone works with this. It will still work with no signal. So what's your explanation now? There's no signal. She just kept saying, that's fantastic. I just wanted to for us, for this to be out, for this information to be out, in the open, innit? Nonsensical people. But anyway, alhamdulillah, the phone. Yeah, that's what I was talking to. I was talking to her and she came. She was very happy. She wants to go back. She wants to go back to just to. I said, don't worry. I said, don't worry. You have
Justice League has established the truth.
You have big son in the ends, So alhamdulillah. So anyway, happy ending. I don't know how that story is gonna sound. It might stay in, might stay out, but alhamdulillah. I'm glad. You can tell I'm quite proud of myself. So But yeah, man. So anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming. We wanted to kind of just talk on, and Tal, you're the first person I'll ask. I wanted to talk on just a bit about obviously what we do, and the impact you think it's having, and where you think it stands in the community, and a bit about what you do specifically within the masjid as well. I don't think we've really gone into that specifically.
I guess to begin with, I'll probably talk about how I've benefited from this community.
Sick.
And that then flips into then informing why we do what we do and then what exactly it is we do. So, alhamdulillah, we're in a quite unique position where growing up in a Nigerian-dominated masjid where the let's say the thing that the masjid is perhaps known for is group dhikr, we had older brothers who were, a bit more educated, a bit more on the sunnah, who took it upon themselves to ensure that we had regular circles so that we could spread authentic knowledge and receive authentic knowledge. So the whole concept of youth started much earlier by some of the uncles who saw that, these first generation youth born in this country, they're idle, they don't have stuff to do, let's set up a camp for them, which is one element of what youth was in terms of these summer camps, these summer programs, almost like a Camp America for those who are familiar with that. But then what really was the mainstay was the circles. So whether it was fortnightly, we had an opportunity to meet up, benefit each other, and form those bonds and form those connections. And it meant as well in Ramadan we'd always have a program as well, like Saturday and Sunday, or sometimes just a Saturday. Once again, just to remind those regular reminders, so we got the best out of Ramadan. And you'd find that even brothers who were in uni, who'd kind of we didn't see for a while, when it was the Ramadan program, they'd always swing by for that halaqah and then for iftar. So yeah, this is what the masjid provided, alongside the fact we went Markaz, as you know, you learn kind of tilawah Quran. That's the bulk of what you do, but we don't end up having more Islamic studies or just like more regular reminders. So it was an extension of the parents who were attending, let's say, the group dhikr sessions, and the fact that we also were attending the masjid for madrasa. So sometimes we already be in the masjid, and it just meant maybe an hour away, and then we had those connects. So that's what the youth is about, really. How do we capture this audience of young people who are in the masjid but won't benefit from group dhikr sessions? Rather, what can we do, or what could those elders do to make sure that we were benefiting in that time we were in the masjid? And from there, it's just grown and matured to be that, this platform through which we engage the youth, and increasingly we're thinking about what are the real struggles that they have. So alhamdulillah, it's good to have those classes or structured classes, but sometimes you need those circles to really get to the meat of the matter. What are the challenges that the youth are facing today? You know what I mean? So we probably had it easy in our time. Social media wasn't what it is now, whereas they bombarded with stuff. So yeah, we really try and delve into it, and all the isms as well that we hear about these days as well. Whether it's like, extreme right, extreme left. Like, there's been Muslims who perhaps have flirted too much on the left as, we're victims like everyone else, and therefore you start endorsing these isms that you shouldn't endorse.
Yes.
And on the right, we see that increasingly now Muslims are flirting, almost like overstaring, and they're buying into like red pill movement, and those sort of movements as well. So we're really trying to understand what's going on the streets, what's really affecting the hearts of these youth, and how can we speak to them on a level that they will understand. So alhamdulillah, a couple of years back, myself and the brothers here were appointed to be on the shura. There wasn't any consultation. We were just told that
election.
You've had taken over youth now, and I didn't see it coming, but they had identified that I might make a good leader for the youth. And alhamdulillah, I was asked to be the Amir of the youth, and yeah, it's a position I've held since then. And
How long has it been?
2017.
2017, isn't it?
Yeah, 2017.
Since
So
after Morpher Bay, innit?
yeah,
5 years.
5 years.
Damn.
Yeah, so
Damn.
yeah,
Didn't even
it's a long tenure, but alhamdulillah, I guess it's a case where you don't realize how much you
We were
benefit
young.
from
We
it
were
more
young.
than others, and that Allah's given us a opportunity to gain reward. So from that perspective, like everyone who takes benefit and shares that. So these youth we're speaking to might have younger siblings they pass this message to. One day will be married with kids that they pass this message to, and inshallah, something is written from those rewards for us. And from that selfish perspective, you know what I mean, how many other people have this kind of built-in ability to offer such a service? So we're grateful to Allah for it. And yeah, it can be tiring, you know, but yeah, like for instance, I was saying at the end of the youth that it is end of camp. Sorry, that it is refreshing and reinvigorating to be back in person and not just have virtual programs.
I was on his last legs, you know.
Yeah,
I was ready to tap out.
and yeah, it's, to see the impact of what you're doing, and to see these kids that, you know what I mean. There's pictures from when we were at the same youth camp 3 years ago, 2019, when we went, and that literally, especially the ones that were perhaps in year 7, they've grown like.
Yeah, some of the sisters were recreating pictures. And it's like some of the kids, and it's like, whoa, yeah.
I don't know. So it is amazing. It is amazing to see that, and yeah, it's encouraging from that perspective. So yeah, that's what we do at the youth. Not a lot of masajid have these facilities. So yeah, what we've tried to do, at least in the last couple months or so, is to think about how can we introduce some form of more kind of rigorous structured learning with kind of qualified teachers, because we're all trying as best as we can, but we attend classes here and there, but we're not even the smallest of talib ilm. We're going to be honest about that, isn't it? But we're in a situation where brothers who are more qualified than us have been shy to teach or to share knowledge in the past, right? So it's like, who's going to give something to these kids? You can only give what you got, right? Yeah. So yeah, in the same way, we try to give what we have, and we can talk more around general kind of personal development. Alhamdulillah, the brothers are doing well in their career as well. So that mixture of how do you balance the deen and the akhirah and the dunya, we can offer that. But I think what we can do as well is facilitate the learning with those who are more qualified. And that's what we've tried to pivot to now. Now that increasingly we attend classes and we got access to these teachers, to bring them in to teach the youth as well. So that's the next stage or transformation of the youth, almost like Pokemon, the evolution of the youth. How do we leverage the skill sets that we have to consolidate what we've got? You know what I mean? I was talking in the WhatsApp group, WhatsApp group we've got recently, that look, we've been at it for 5 years now. We have a lot of institutional knowledge and know-how. Let's record it. Let's think about how we streamline some of the processes. Let's think about how we automate it. Let's think about how do we hand over something tangible to the next lot, and it's not just word of mouth. You know what I mean? A website, a back end, a database, all of these things, a how-to of how do you run the different programs that we've got, so that the next people can iterate on top of it and take it to the next level. So yeah, I've been talking for a while, but yeah, for those who didn't know, every time we talk about youth, youth,
probably should have done that a year ago.
This is what it is.
Probably should have had this conversation a year ago. But yeah, alhamdulillah. No, barakallahu feek, that was beautifully explained. And quickly, just on, obviously, before we get into kind of what we specifically did, but I alluded to the fact that you was a bit tired. Why was he tired?
So
I know you said obviously it wasn't in person.
Do you know what it is? It happens in every organization, right? That sometimes you need fresh blood, you need fresh ideas, and you need new life or new lease of energy. And it doesn't help when, let's say, to get a task done internally within the team, the time it takes for me to chase people to do stuff, I could have done it myself. So it's like increasingly, it's like everyone's in that stage of fatigue. So it got to a stage where it's just like, like I shouldn't need to prompt. We've done it for 5 years now. I shouldn't need to prompt you that this is what's going to be needed, etc., etc. So if we're still at that stage, it's like, okay, you're clearly tired. I'm tired. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Exactly.
It's not easy, man.
So yeah, I think actually seeing the fruits of what we've done is has been encouraging, because as context, that we went to the same site that we went to pre-COVID 2019, the same campsite, and we had half the numbers of what we had prior to COVID. So there's been a huge attrition in terms of youth who were kind of in and about in our vicinity that used to come, that now that then didn't come.
And I thought the 2019 when I remember, you always think that what you have isn't enough. So even in 2019, I thought those numbers were small. And when I was looking at
what was it? It was like 80 something, wasn't it?
It was more, 100 and something.
Last summer.
No, 2019.
2019. When I was looking at
the last summer camp we did.
When I was looking at the pictures from summer camp, I was so shocked. That room was packed.
That room was yeah. But I remember thinking, not that I thought it was small, but I thought it was.
Small.
It's a bit trim this year.
Yeah, we always you always think it's not enough. You always think you'd love to do more, but fam.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off one.
No. I forgot where I was going now. So yeah, it's that contributed towards the tiredness, and yeah, having the numbers reduced, you kind of thinking like, what are we doing wrong? Is it more that I'm not putting enough energy into this? Is it more that somebody else needs to take the steering wheel to inject some energy in it? So it was more a feeling of perhaps I'm failing the youth by just hanging around, and it never wants to be the fact that I'm not here for a title. I mean, I can if somebody else takes that and they can push the youth forward, then by all means. But on that note, real quick, and I know perhaps it's not our audience, but parents have a big role to play when it comes to the viability of programs like ours. Because the same way, if your kid was like, oh, there's a teacher in school who's blah, blah, blah to me, insert whatever you want, the response isn't going to be like, oh, you don't need to go to school. Yeah. Whereas with the youth, they treat it that way. Like, oh, perhaps some of the older brothers or older sisters are a bit rude to me. Like, I don't like the way they speak to me. Okay, then to go you. Oh, that would have been something that we can address. Oh, youth is boring. Oh, the chores that they get us to do at camp. What do you expect the youth leaders to be the one washing their pants? And we're
not making children wash our pants, by the way.
What did they expect? No. I'm talking about. I said that we need to wash theirs.
Yeah, yeah,
we need to be cleaning their toilets and be laying their beds for them.
Yeah. Like. They make us wait. They make us wake up too early.
Yeah, they make us. We don't get enough sleep. Imagine we don't get enough sleep, and we were forcing them to go to bed at a certain time. Let's say we do lights out at 9:30. Yeah. They don't go to bed. Like now we wake up for either tahajjud or fajr, 4 o'clock or something like that, and then they complain they don't get bed, and then we give them siesta. Instead of them to sleep and siesta, they're playing and they complain. Like at some point, parents need to understand that because your kid says something, you need to be the one
bigger picture.
Yeah, you need to be the one to encourage them, or even know that just like school might be challenging for the child in the long term, or in the grand scheme of things, you have to send them to school.
As much as you hate school, and I hated school when I was growing up, you wake up you will go to bed every day knowing that you're going. There's no point bringing up the fact that you might not want to go.
Exactly.
Because I just thought that memory card. Yeah, man. It's kids. Yeah, like. I think I've said it before. You've heard me say it before.
We were speaking about this as well. Like, how parents, we just feel like are pandering far too much to their kids. I mean, back in the day with us, it was like you're going camp, and there was no
discussion.
Whatever you emphasize in your household is the things that will be taken most seriously, and the things that people will adhere to. So if camp is an afterthought. If the deen is an afterthought, then the deen will be an afterthought in your kid's life growing up. That's the way they'll see it. They won't see it as a major thing. But yeah, man. Challenges in terms of kids. What actually? Should we move on from? I was going to ask you specifically about more challenges, but we'll move on.
No, I think that's. We can talk around that.
So challenges in terms of being because shining full light. Obviously, you asked me to. if I wanted to do it, basically. And I fobbed you off. I said, ask me in 2 months. In 2 months, I said, ask me in the 2 months. I was buying time. For me personally, if I'm honest, I feel like, for me, motivation has never been an issue in terms of having a drive to do something, in terms of wanting to keep doing things. I might not, be the first one to say, oh, well, we need to do this, or blah, 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 but that's more process. But in terms of motivation to carry on and keep pushing, that's never really been an issue for me. However, I do feel like what you do very well, you do a lot of things very well, mashallah, but what I feel like you do very well in the role of Amir is that you you do all of the bells and whistles that come with the title very well. And that's the things that I feel like if I had those, it might bog me down and would inhibit me and maybe take my energy away. So I feel like I'm kind of best suited to not having. This is my public rejection of your of your offer. But yeah, that's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, I feel like I've get teachers in, organize circles, do curriculum, talk to the other brothers about it. I feel like cool, I can do that, and that's easy to do when that's all you kind of have to focus on doing. And when you have to attend this and go talk to the executive about this, carry that. I'm like, can't even speak Yoruba, bro.
That's what you do. Yeah, I agree. That's what you do very well. Yeah.
So yeah, man. So obviously, keep going. Stick to it. Keep good.
But it speaks to the importance of training up the next lot and identifying those who have the kind of the qualities or who have displayed promise that we can coach and mentor. Because any great movement, if you think about the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba, like the kind of the tarbiyah that they got directly at his hands, he basically raised the next lot of generations, the four rightly guided caliphs. So it's something that we need to think about. Part of our legacy in this role is really identifying that next crop and making sure we pass the baton on, because unlike the previous, I guess, 2 handovers when it comes to the youth, we almost had the inbuilt supply because we were all pretty much like
we were the supplier.
Yeah, we were the supplier essentially, and it's like all of our parents know each other. We all kind of grew up together, or our older siblings grew up with them, and we're connected that
people
way.
People coming to camp and meeting new people.
Exactly. Whereas now it's like there's a whole new generation of parents who, let's say, are actually family friends. They're not family friends. They're literally just Nigerian Muslims who attend the masjid. We don't have that.
We get kids from Middlesbrough and Aylesbury and Birmingham, and
we don't have that connection. So it's a bit of an additional task, additional effort needed to connect to those parents. One, connect to the kids, become trusted in their eyes, etc. So yeah, I mean, if there's ever a group that could take on that challenge, I think we're eminently capable of doing it. We just need to ask for Allah to give us Taofiq in our efforts.
I mean,
and just keep on putting in the work.
Ibs?
Were you asking me?
Oh no, I'm asking a question. I was gonna say, did you want to move on? Before I bring what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I do. I do think it's tough though, and I think you kind of alluded to it in terms of our kind of pipeline of kids, for lack of a better term. I do feel like, and it's been slowly happening for a while now, that I feel like we're slowly kind of losing our grip.
The well is drying.
Yeah, and the well is drying up, and it was part of kind of the main reason why I started attending Man specifically more frequently, just to try and get more of those kids in to come into youth. But I feel like a little bit from this camp that we've done as well has kind of showcased a little bit more how that gap is we're just kind of further and further growing apart from them. I feel like, obviously there's things that we can do, that we need to do more to kind of bring more people in, but also, like you mentioned before as well, the parents as well, and some of the stuff we were talking about before about parents pandering to their kids, and it's almost like it's so difficult to please some of these kids now, and it's like if you're not rolling out the red carpet for them, like they're not happy. Like the amount of stuff that we do to try and keep them engaged in lectures, throwing sweets at them, putting them in teams, giving them points. And back in our day, you have to listen. There was no, as far as I remember, there was no workshops.
It was lecture.
Fam, it was
food, lecture, food,
bro.
Lecture, food, sleep.
Fam, there was
wake
no,
up, pray.
There
that
was
it.
There was no workshops. There was no adab series. It was lectures. And if you're sleeping, you're in trouble. Simple as.
Yeah.
And
a talent show at the end. That was at the very on the last day of the quiz.
Yeah.
Was the quiz even there?
No, there was no quiz. I don't remember.
When did the quiz start? Probably
I think we implemented the quiz.
Nah, Alamin and
actually, yeah, they did. I think more for bail. Was that the first one?
I think that must have been a quiz.
No, that's the first one I remember.
Me, I was getting in trouble from quizzes from before, so there was definitely quizzes. Even at Leicester, there was quiz because that's how I got my bad reputation for fighting them. Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, that was it, and it's like it feels like you're doing so much to try and please these kids now, and
I never even deep that, you know. Man's burying carrots in for treasure hunt.
Yeah, like we're doing so much trying to keep them engaged, and at the end, all you're hearing is camp is boring. You expect me to come to this, like my man on the bus, 7 years old, telling me you're expecting me to come all the way from here to come circle. Like, bruv, why do you have the confidence to be talking so loud on the bus? Below 10 years of age, and you're talking like so brazen.
It's imagine.
I was so confused. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Yeah, these man did it. Yeah.
And he's a youth as well.
Yeah, 8
I couldn't
years old
believe what I was hearing.
Yeah. Imagine.
It's tough. It's tough, but like I said, we have to continue to pray to Allah to give us Taofiq
and remember that your reward is with Allah. Isn't it? So
and sabr. So this year we spoke about being a confident Muslim, and Taofiq touched on this before, that in terms of the initial planning for camp, cobwebs and what they called, hay balls or whatever they're called. So you kind of came up with that essentially, basically by yourself, and the lectures and etc. So what made you decide to go with that topic?
Topic-wise, I think we must have had a Shura meeting.
Maybe we did.
There were 2 topics that came up that made sense, and we kind of thought that,
I didn't agree with it.
It kind of came up. I think I kind of took what you said or what somebody else said.
No, because you might have remembered, because this has been my campaign and whatever. And to be fair, this is how you learn and you get new ideas. I was on this, forget all of this work, not forget the workshop stuff, but forget all of this. Choosing the theme. Let's pick a book, a matan, and go Talib al-Ilm style and just go like follow a book and just teach it like that. I was like, that was me in it. That was my because me becoming disillusioned with the kids and stuff. And man, but I think it worked. I think it worked very well. Based on some of the feedback.
I think it did too. I really like the topic. Agreed. I really like the topic.
Do you know, I think was the difference this time, I guess, what was maybe different from other camps. Normally we do something like the Day of Judgment or the Sahaba or the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I know that's wrong. There's anything wrong with that, but it's not you end up having lots of messages, because each of those topics, we look at the life of the Sahaba, you have lessons on sabr, lessons on being generous, lessons on putting your foot in tawakkul. You have different themes coming out, so there's no one consistent. Because we had almost like a slogan, being a confident Muslim, that we were able to kind of drive that message home, and I think inshallah that will stick with them because of that. So was there anything kind of going on in society or anything specific that made you think, I want to instill the importance of being confident in your Islam?
Absolutely. Like I thank Allah that we grew up in a generation where we didn't face as much of the isms that people face today out in society. So there's what they call kind of cognitive dissidence, where in one respect you're Muslim and you understand the rules of the Sharia in terms of on certain matters, but then you're living out there in the world and they're telling you black is white, and what black actually is, and it's like they're challenged. So even on this podcast, I'll be cryptic because I am somebody who's cancelable, unfortunately. I've got a day job. I'm not a businessman on my own, so I can't, you know what I mean? May Allah give me the confidence one day and the freedom of, of means to be able. You can say it, but if you want to be cancelled one day, but inshallah you won't.
I thought you were saying that things we've said before. Okay,
no,
cool.
No.
Okay.
I'm saying that now. Even then, I have to be critical. I think most people understand the isms I'm talking about. So I felt that it was important that we equipped the children with that strong sense of, their Muslim identity. And so as well to dispel also myths around, do I have to wear a thawb in order for this to be a Muslim identity? Right? We talked around that, right? So what are the elements that are perhaps this is very much to do with this particular culture as opposed to a kind of a Muslim identity, so to speak. So yeah, that's why we thought that topic was important. And then with the lectures, we kind of looked at the Prophet ﷺ, we looked at his life, we looked at Musa ﷺ, we looked at Maryam, and we also were going to talk about Sumayya, radiallahu anha, just so that, we had a kind of firm examples for the brothers and firm examples for the sisters that they could model their lives around. So alhamdulillah.
Keeping it gender neutral, yeah.
Not even gender neutral, but keeping the lessons more directly relevant as opposed to I have to extrapolate together. It's like this should be
on the nose, on the nose,
exactly.
And lo and behold.
Yeah. Anyway, Ibrahim's really having to contain himself. Alright, cool. So we had I wanted to talk about a couple of the workshops and a couple of the type of scenarios, just to give people an idea of what we do. What time is it? I'm just thinking, when is my group? Ibrahim, your workshop, yours was, what was your scenario one?
So I did a workshop on, my workshop was building confidence in your Muslim identity.
Was that one with the branches and all that?
Yes.
What was the other one you did?
The adab series was in relation to respecting your parents, adab with your parents, basically.
Adab with your parents. So do you think that respect towards the parents is something that is an issue with the youngers of this generation, or do you think it's something that's gotten better? What do you think relevant to these kids?
It's I don't know.
I think it's 1,000% an issue.
1,000%.
I've got an interesting take.
I'm surprised that you're hesitating.
No, I'm not that I'm hesitating. I get what you're saying, but more because I don't want to speak out of turn. And I can only, I guess, kind of speak to what I see myself. I think, I don't know, it's tough. I think in my family, I would say, we have quite a good relationship with our parents, especially my younger brother, actually, because obviously he's close to home. He lives at home, so he's even closer to my parents than me and my older brothers are. But I do think it's an issue. In terms of, so you mean primarily kids respecting their parents?
Yeah, essentially,
yeah.
At Paradise Lies at the Feet of the Mother, etc. Is that being implemented in these homes, do you think? Should I give my take? Why you think?
Yeah.
I actually think it's impossible to tell. Because
I think this is why I'm finding it so difficult. Sorry to cut you off, because I don't want to speak about kids in this generation as a broad term, because if I do, I'm gonna be mainly probably referring to non-Muslims, because that's probably the example that you see more of than Muslim kids. Exactly, and I don't want to speak down on Muslim kids and their relationship with their parents, because as far as I see from our community, I don't think it's actually that bad.
Because you know what, and I
might be wrong. I might be wrong.
It's not with me. It's not that I think it's not that bad. But with me, I actually think that just like we've said with the parents pandering, I feel like now you see less. I got kicked out of my house by my parents. This person's fighting his dad. To me, from what I see, I don't get those things coming to me. It becomes less and less. And the kids you hear about that stuff going on about they're now 21, 22. Because of the fact, for me, it's because of the fact that parents are at the mercy of their children nowadays. So there is no opportunity for kids to disrespect their parents, not disrespect, but to get in arguments, to not listen, because the parents pander so much to kids and they have so much power in their households that it's not even an issue.
So he took it to the extreme.
For me, that's what I feel it is. I don't think you get. Okay, I'm trying to think.
No,
when I think of my older cousins'
to be honest,
generation,
I hear it.
my older sisters, there was real issues with with parents like in the household. Now for me, it's just like when you see the way the kids are,
I hear it.
Parents are
Like there was so many examples of even kids that we saw of camp
royalty
that you can just tell that these kids are so coddled.
That's why they're so brazen.
They're just so coddled.
But to your point, then the answer is yes. There is a problem of respect, respect with regards to one's parents, because of what you've highlighted. And I was gonna say, because when Ibrahim was taking time, I was like, kids are a product of the societies and communities you build them in. You would like to think that we're so different as Muslims. We're growing up in the West. It is like there's only so much you're going to be sheltered from how things are done here, and there's the amount of respect you ought to afford your parents. It's something that even perhaps the way we behave with our parents versus how somebody who grew up in Nigeria might behave with their parents. Like there's some places I had some cousins where if their mum is in the kitchen cooking, they can't be sitting down watching TV. Even if they're only just going to stand by her side just so that she feels supported, they had to do that. Yeah. They couldn't be sat down while their mum is standing in the kitchen. That was the level of respect they gave them. I wasn't like that. Like my mum can be in the kitchen, that's fine. When she finished with her plate, I'll take a plate. That's the level I'm at. But you can imagine how it's a sliding scale. It gets lower and lower. So but
Islamically, when things like Birru Walidain, being good to the parents, what they say, or maintaining family ties, what they generally say is that the parents shouldn't be upset with me, and you should follow the customs of the land you're in. And what I'm essentially saying is that the customs have changed. The customs are what constitutes respect for your parents. I don't think is and this maybe just one of the things we have to accept. And people, you have as in externally, we have the power in our own households to impose what we want, and that's what we'll do, inshallah. But for these kids, like if the mum is if you grew up every day, if you've grown up for 6 years and you're 7 years old now, and your mum's taking your plate for you every day, then you not taking your mum's plate is not an issue. You can't be punished for that. But the thing is, what happens is they come to us now. Us dinosaurs, and we're like,
taking one's what are you doing? What are you talking about?
Yeah, and that's why I asked that question. That it's almost like you can give a lecture about that, and it's almost like you're talking Chinese to them. Oh, your mum's. What was one of your scenarios? Oh, your mum's playing. You're playing PlayStation, and you're about to win the competition, like £1,000, and your mum calls you to wash the plates. To them, they're like, what? Like to them, that's not even a consideration. Mum doesn't call me to wash the plates. I don't wash plates in my house. So what's my answer going to be? I don't know. I tell her I'll come later. They're in their head. I remember looking around the room at that point. I remember they're like, can you remember there wasn't really the answers were a bit.
I remember a lot of the answers being, I'll explain to her that I'm playing a game.
Yeah,
and I was like, what? I was so confused. I was like, what are you talking about? And I even put in the scenario, I even stressed that she says you have to do it now.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about conversation?
Yeah, we'll have conversation. We'll talk it out. I'll explain to her. We'll negotiate. I think someone said the term negotiate.
I put that line in there on purpose to move them away from that thought that there's no negotiation.
Somebody used the word. Somebody used the word.
Someone said negotiate.
Yeah.
Someone said negotiate.
I was like, deployment.
Yeah.
I was like, so
yeah.
Generational gap is different. And this is why this is what I mean about, I don't think, this is what you have to sometimes adapt what we're doing to the level of like, is there a point in us trying to instill traditional village Nigerian practices?
I think, especially in regards to one's parents, I think that's one area where Allah might be displeased with them. And I think because of that religious bar on top of it, that your parents are, the fact that they've accepted it, they might still be displeased with you in their heart. The fact that, especially, let's say there was a cousin coming to visit from Nigeria, summer holidays, and they were so impeccably behaved and did everything, the parent will feel such a not disappointment.
You say that.
Look at what
I'm thinking of parents in that mosque. I'm thinking of parents who, if you put stress on their child, you ask their child to take a plate. That will upset them.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at,
like in my house, they don't take plates. No, so is it now you that will tell them to take plates?
Don't be harsh. Do you know what I mean? It will upset them. So I'm like, like think of,
I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Look, like, I don't know where you go. I'm not offering a solution here. I'm just bringing up the problem. I'm just putting the problem on the table. I haven't got a solution to this.
I think we do need to, and I think as when we were youth, we used to get so many reminders on, kindness to one's parents and all that kind of stuff, and it's
kindness,
respect to one's parents. It's something that I don't think we can stress enough. I think we just need to keep, even for more older youth, like people in their 20s, like, what are you doing to be kind to your parents? How often do you go and visit them? How often do you pick up the phone and call them? How often do you just buy them a gift?
I think these are the things that are the ones that maybe we can have more of an impact
But this is
on.
for the elders. I mean, the point I was trying to make is that it don't matter how old you are, as long as you still got parents alive, that message of being kind to your parents is relevant. So I don't think that we should, because of the times, and it is what it is with these kids. I think even more reason, because you've got a lifetime ahead of you, inshallah, that you can perhaps make it up to them. So maybe these seeds that we're planting now, inshallah, will pay dividends.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, we're back after Maghribs. Sorry about the break, even though for you it will be 0.5 seconds. We're going to move on and talk about another one of the sessions that was done during the camp, and just kind of bounce off what I read and just see and discuss kind of some of the themes that were coming out from the kids. One of the things that we like to kind of press on is obviously social media, adult reviews on social media, adult reviews with regards to kind of interacting with the opposite gender. That's something we really try to drill on, because it's a toxic disease that's spreading throughout our community from all ages. This is not something that's relevant just to the kids. This is something that affects kind of all of us, has affected kind of all of us from every age group, all of the unmarried folk, and even the married folk, and the married folk too. Exactly. Yes. So I'll just go into as I said, social media is a toxic environment for brothers, sisters, unmarried, married, and the like.
Everybody.
And obviously kids, with regards to the fact that they are still finding themselves more than us, are going to be more vulnerable to any traps that are out there.
Yeah.
So what we like to do is always scenarios. I don't know where this love of scenarios came from in youth. I don't know if did it come from? I don't think it came from me.
I think it's Teslim.
Teslim. So I think Teslim likes
with the Adab series.
And was the Adab series always scenario based?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right on my street. And yeah, man. So one of the which one caused the most ruckus? You thinking of signing off to TikTok? Obviously don't. Your non-Muslim friend of the same gender posts a picture of him/herself at the beach on holiday. Their hour is exposed. Should you reshare on your story with a love eyes emoji? So this one came up, and I believe this one.
Yeah. Or for the brothers, so you reshare with the guns emoji.
With the guns emoji. Sorry, it's gender neutral, of course.
And to it would have run if you just kept quiet after.
No, alright, I'll cut that bit out. If I remember, inshallah. I definitely cut that bit out. Yes, with the guns emoji or whatever. And this one, I feel like, do you know what it did? I feel like when we were talking to the kids, the boys and the girls, I feel like a lot of them knew the answer. But what I gathered from looking around the room, because obviously when I'm moving around, I'm giving people the mics. What I gathered was there was a lot of, I think this one triggered a lot of self-reflection amongst the kids based on the responses we got. Because there was a lot of things, there was what you got was a lot of people trying to, without doing it kind of overtly, but trying to seek justification for what they do that they've basically realized they shouldn't be doing. And when I did the brothers only session, specifically about interacting with the opposite gender, I don't think you were there, but the way I like to say it to people is that when it comes to like a repost or retweet, sharing something in your story, it's like that. It's the equivalent of having a banner outside of your house or outside your bedroom, painting whatever that post is, putting it outside your bedroom and a massive on the bed sheet and saying that Abdul Malik approves of the below. And that's, if you liken it to that, then yeah. And I don't know if it was the session with the brothers only or the mix session where I mentioned obviously and this is a theme that kept on coming out about, whoever sees an evil, let him remove it with his hand. If not with the tongue, and the weakest of Iman is hating with the tongue. and with the heart, sorry, fun. And just that thing about, so if the weakest form of iman, the weakest is hating something in your heart, yeah. So what is reposting it? What type of iman is that, or what lack of iman is that?
Endorsement.
And based on so I think just Ibs, you talk on it a bit. Obviously, you're the social media correspondent. Reposting, or you was. I don't know. Have you let that title go now?
I never had that.
You've been the social media correspondent, Nigerian correspondent.
Was that?
Social media correspondent.
In very early days.
Yeah. Reposting.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't even think that was the scenario that caused the most kind of.
So it's where we are now, anyway.
It's where we are, yeah. Yeah. I guess being on social media, I guess this is something I've kind of had conversations with different people. I don't think I've had this conversation with the youth specifically about. I probably have about like the dangers of just you reposting things. I mean, I think. Like we spoke about, like the access to social media nowadays is so ridiculous, and I think what people sometimes fail to realize is that access to social media is also how easy it is to access sin. Because back in the day, you could at least stay in your house to avoid sin. If you wanted to avoid sin, you could stay at home. You didn't have to go outside. But now you pick up your phone and you can sin all day long. So even little things like just reposting something, retweeting something, you don't know how many people that thing you've now reposted is going to reach. And for example, let's say you see a music video or something that has music in it and you share that, and now 100 of your followers, which is small, some people usually have thousands of followers, now see this thing that you've reposted and have now accessed this music because you reposted it. You're now sharing in all of that sin. Just from a click of, if you clicked on this thing and you continue scrolling,
and just mad as well.
And look how many people have now. Yeah.
It's just mad as well. I might be me myself. I might follow 100 people, and all of them are brothers from the masjid, students of knowledge or whatever. And I've come to Instagram or Twitter with the best of intentions. They hope to use it in the best way possible, but somebody in my network may expose me to secondhand crap, basically.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, I'm essentially, because of your decision, X person's decision, I've now been exposed to something that I wouldn't have seen, and all of the fahish and all the corruption that can cause is literally coming to my eyes, and it always sets up a trend event.
And it's almost like you have no control over it.
And most of the
almost,
I feel like we generally, like I feel like me and you specifically probably have a decent reading of the social media activity of a lot of these kids, for example, the ones that are coming camp and stuff. Most of the nonsense we've seen are through reposts of the brothers that probably wouldn't post or get caught doing those things themselves, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I feel like most of what I know of people's social media activity comes from other people sharing it.
Yeah.
Which is a madness. And this is that thing about shit. Like, it used to be, we used to talk about not exposing your own sins. Now it's exposing everybody else's sins. It's toxic, man.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think I kind of came to this realization of my own maybe like 4 or 5 years ago now. I think it was I think I might have alluded to it on a podcast as well. I think it was just like one Ramadan, and usually during Ramadan I just get rid of all of my social media anyway. But I think I came back to it after Ramadan a few years back, and I think I was just going through my own page. I was like, this is just a whole bunch of nonsense. Like, fair enough, I know that, and obviously Twitter is my main, is like the main social media I use, and I know my intention with that app is very, very clear. That I know it's not real life, and I'm only on that app to entertain myself.
An alter ego.
That's it. I'm honestly just there to entertain myself. I don't get involved in anything else besides that. But even still, a lot of the stuff that I was sharing myself was just nonsense. It was just nonsense. I just kind of came to the realization that I just need to scale this back. Like, if it's not going to benefit people, if it's not of benefit to me, number one, I don't need to be saying it. Number two, I don't need to be reposting it. So if you go on my Twitter now, I'm probably just talking about football, mainly. That's all you'll see on my page now, more time. But yeah, man, it's like I said before, it's so easy, but so dangerous at the same time as well. And there's so many of these other apps now, and private stories and secret stories, and you have younger siblings and young cousins, so the proximity is still there, but I still feel like there is still that gap as well. There is still a whole bunch of nonsense that I'm probably not seeing. That obviously I know that I'm kind of aware of. I know it's there, but I'm just not seeing it because they have their own tact and their own way of hiding these things.
It's like TikTok. Like I don't have TikTok. Don't know how the app looks. Like it's only when the first time I've seen a TikTok video proper is the one of this Nigerian lady who pretended that she did crash into somebody, and oh my goodness.
Just keep it that way because there's so much misinformation on. There's so much misinformation on that app. Like it used to be like only Twitter was like that, but I feel like now it's the app as well. It's like you can just wake up in the morning and just lie,
misinformation,
and people believe you.
Yeah, misinformation in video format.
Yeah, and you can literally just tell lies and people believe you.
100.
So it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Another thing I gathered from camp is that the sisters, they still want the brothers to they still want strong brothers to protect them, and that doesn't seem to that's harsh, but I'll say that it may be apparent that the first instinct for brothers sometimes maybe not to be that whole protective, defensive brother, because we had the scenario about the what was that? I can't remember. Was it
the scenario?
Yeah,
was
whose was it? Was it yours?
Was mine? Yeah. The scenario was there have been Islamophobic attacks in your area recently, and your parents have now told you to remove your hijab for your own safety. So sisters, what would you do? And brothers, if it was your sister, what would you tell your sister, or what would you tell your parents?
What would you do? Yeah,
basically, what would you do? And obviously, you said it, and honestly, if you hadn't said it, I was about to say the same thing as well. I was shocked at.
Is it?
I was shocked.
It didn't come into my head
at the brothers not saying that they would escort their.
So first of all,
out.
let's say all of the sisters said that they tell their parents that they're not going to disobey Allah for the sake of obeying them, and but the brothers were like, oh yeah, they will speak to the parents and blah blah essentially, but then none of them said that, for instance, like they will accompany the sister outside as their protection
and protect you from bomb.
So all of the sisters, when I mentioned all the sisters, kind of raised up their hands. Exactly, that's what we was.
I was shocked as well, to be honest.
Should we unpack this? Before to close us out, why do you think none of the brothers said it? I had my theory, which is obviously sympathetic.
Why they said they said
why none of the brothers raised their voice up and said?
I don't know why it wasn't forefront of their mind.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it?
Maybe have they brought into the independent
person
woman
as
well? Yeah.
Maybe
if they said that, it will come across as sexist.
Maybe you're not allowed to be a man. Sorry, let's not. We're not gonna do this, boys. We're not gonna do this. It's so easy, isn't it?
Sounds quite bad, yeah.
Ibs, man, don't lower the tone of this.
That was quite bad.
Modern podcast.
Wow, we did. Yeah, we said let's focus on the brothers. I just went straight in the other direction.
Ibrahim Tate. Why?
Lack of experience, maybe. I don't know.
It was a young group.
Yeah, it was quite a young group. Lack of experience, and like I said, I was saying to them as well, like the amount of situations that I've heard my wife narrate to me and my mum narrate to me that I almost wish I was in that situation.
Yeah. Because
if I was there, number one,
look at the phone thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe lack of experience. Maybe it comes into this whole kind of parenting thing that we're talking about, and
mollycoddled boys.
Yeah, kids being and parents being at the mercy of their kids, so they don't really, have that experience of being a protective figure. Do you know what I mean? Maybe parents pandering and coddling their kids so that they've I don't know, because you said like it's quite a young group. Maybe they haven't had the experience of having to be men in their lives yet. So it just wasn't. Because I don't even think it was a thing that it wasn't at the forefront of them, and it didn't come up at all.
I mean, some said that they're helping any way they can.
I like, man.
Well, it's a bit vague. Which is like a casual category, isn't it?
I'm not hearing that.
I do believe, like that. I know we were trying to, increase the tone, but I do think society has something to do with it, because I do believe that in general, there's no space for the.
This is recorded, by the way.
Yeah, it's red.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's no space for the, man's man, protective, gets things done, will get things cracking if he wants to do, but is still a sensible, considerate, emotionally switched on person. There's no space for that person anymore. I don't think there's a perception that that person exists anymore in society. So it's either you choose. Do you know what I mean? I don't think society nurtures that type of man nowadays. So therefore, it's not something that people just kind of naturally go towards in terms of the way they answer questions. I don't think anybody, even I think somebody would probably, even if they felt that need, they'd probably feel like they're doing, guy pick me, then they wouldn't even, and it might be from a from a praiseworthy place of shyness. But I don't think any man would come and say, "Nah, I'm gonna make sure myself." Do you know what I mean? I can imagine everyone would be like, "Ooh," I can imagine him getting laughed at, even laughed at the room.
And I think this is why that theme, the theme of camp, was so important.
Yeah,
because yes, society, I don't think believes that person exists or pushes that narrative of men, but I do feel like that even the three of us sitting here, I could say that we are all those type of men, but we don't have to broadcast it to the world and let them know that, I'm the good guy, pick me. Do you know what I mean? But you can still have that confidence within yourself that I know what is the right thing to do as a man. I know that I can be a different type of man in different situations, without having to let the rest of the world know. And
one thing that's important.
Not saying that when you're asked about what you should do in those situations that you give a different answer that's not true to yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course. But I think one thing that's any men listening and young guys, I think I pushed this in the session the next day or whatever with the boys, is that will always, as men, firstly, we're agenda setters, and to the boys in the group, I told them, be an agenda setter. That's not an agenda follower. Like, you set the tone and lead. And in terms of sisters and women in general, as you saw from that, they will always be drawn to that type of person, and that will always be seen as a positive. There's something that they will love you for. They might not tell you. They might not tell you they'll love you for it.
They won't.
They might not know they're gonna love you for it.
They won't.
But when it happens,
they might not always appreciate it. Yeah.
Because we saw that reaction from the sisters was a reaction of it was yes, like it was to me that was a genuine you mentioned it. So sometimes you have to selectively listen. You should always listen to women. Sorry.
Wow.
You should always listen. Cut. That was Idris Elba.
I don't even think you said the wrong thing there.
No.
I think selectively listen.
Yeah, selective. I'm joking.
You need to listen and filter.
No. You need to listen and filter, aka selectively.
Selectively listen.
You need to hair rule and selectively listen.
Let's just be. It's a fact.
No, it's true. It's true. Cool. And yeah, same because.
I'm doing this on purpose. Just crop out my video and put you two together.
When I'm talking this one, I'm gonna have the camera on top. I'll even edit your lips to move. And same thing, and it's the same thing. I asked the brothers, and obviously we need to wrap up. But I asked the brothers at the end of my session. What I was meant to do was, because obviously it was meant to be a mixed session, was say, brothers, what are some of the things that you kind of on social media? What are the narratives that you complain about women/sisters about? And the same question, sisters. What are some of the things that you take umbrage with when it comes to brothers/men? And my point of this was that I wanted to debunk all of these things in a group setting. Obviously, I didn't get to do that, but I did get to do it with the brothers. In that, one of the brothers said, one of the problems with sisters nowadays is that they're entitled. And my response to that was, but they are entitled. But what are they entitled to? And how do you respond to that entitlement? Is not that you get on the timeline and you start tweeting and saying that women aren't entitled to anything, because that's wrong. What you do is you selectively listen, you critically think, who is this woman? Is she, a respect. If she in terms of we're talking relationship here, if she's somebody who's worth the things that I'm gonna have that she's entitled to from me. Is she, you know, if I'm gonna be paying for everything, I'm gonna be, you know, leading you out and, you know, having children with you and raising a family. Is this person gonna be complementary to what I'm trying to do? Yes, then she's entitled to everything that she says she is.
Critical
that
thinking.
Allah said she is.
But
regardless as well, like she's whether she's worth it or not from your perspective. If you're married to her, that just becomes entitled to. So choose correctly. Both sides choose correctly.
It's critical thinking is what people lack. You know, people will say things online and you just remove all context or you add context to it wherever you see fit. You wake up in the morning and say, I like pancakes, and somebody will say, so you hate waffles. So it's just
Nobody, you know, in this confident Muslim umbrella should be going on the timeline to be arguing with women they don't know, telling them that they are rubbish and that they are useless, because what benefit comes out from that? And that's the issue, or that's the kind of that's the solution when it comes to our community to some of these issues. And that's one of the things I wanted to try and get through today.
On that notion of entitlement, I think perhaps that's why those sessions on, you know, right, and I know a lot of people have disdain about these. Rise of the spouse. Like, people have disdain because they don't. But actually,
it's so important. It's so important.
Both sides need to understand the rights and also the responsibilities.
You need to know.
Because one person's rights becomes somebody else's responsibility.
Because and you need to know, because if you're not doing your job, there needs to be some sort of objective measure of that. Because when you're not doing your job and it's communicated to you, or there's a negative impact to it, it shouldn't be the person's fault. It shouldn't be for pointing it out, or for not being happy, or for being negatively impacted by it. Because Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the Sharia that Allah inspired, that this is what we're meant to do. This is what she's entitled to. This is her role, this is your role. And if you're not doing it, you're all doing something wrong, regardless of her.
But then people will say that there's elements of it that are dictated by the culture. Yeah, I mean, and that's where you get into that space. Like, it's like the example of the parents that you gave earlier in the pod. That because some of those things are dictated by the parents as well as to what good is. Then you're in that mess. So and
this is why, like, the Sharia is there, because objectivity, or something that doesn't change, that is fixed, a post that you can go back to, is very important when it comes to humans, because emotions will always take charge. People's feelings, how people feel in them at a certain time, how they perceive things, their perception, those will always come and muddy the waters. And sometimes you just need something that you can go back to, that you can both go back to. That's not going to change. But yeah, man. Tao, anything you wanted to?
No, alhamdulillah. It's for those people who have something they can benefit the community with, whether it's with your knowledge, whether it's with your wealth, whether it's with your time. Find a way to, and it don't need to be this community. Find a way to impact a community, because ultimately you stand to gain the most of it. From the ajr, from the rewards. And alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed us to be in this position of being leaders within our community, and impacting the youth, the generation of tomorrow. So we pray Allah kind of purifies it for us, accepts it for us, makes it lofty on our scale of good deeds.
Ameen.
And continues to make it easy for us.
Ameen. Cool. Ibs, anything you wanna do? If not, just take us out anyway.
I don't know. You said a name earlier, and it's burning a hole in my brain whether Rashid mentioned it or not. We mentioned it at camp, and it's this Tate Don.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna say something now, and you can make a judgment call whether this should stay in or not. But yeah. So I don't. First of all, before I say what I want to say, I don't want anyone to think that I'm being hypocritical in what I say, or that anyone here pays attention to this guy that's become famous recently. But what I will say is that, especially if you're listening and you're someone that thinks that this person needs to be removed from society, or needs to be, taken off his pedestal or whatever. But like I said, we spoke about this at camp. Yeah, exactly. You put him in that position. People will stop saying outrageously stupid things when you stop giving them a platform for doing so. I mean, recently, I think we've all heard talks about removing this person from his position of power. But again, like we said, you put him there. The reason this person has millions of views and, I don't know, billions of searches on the internet is because you people say you hate controversy, you people say you hate these things, but you flock to them. So you secretly love it. Yeah, I mean, if we look on the flip side, why aren't all of the people that, you know, campaign for social justice and peace in the world, why don't they have millions and views and billions of searches on the internet? It's because you're not interested in that stuff. You're interested in the nonsense. And this is in the same breath you will say, we need to get rid of this nonsense. So again, my final message, people will stop saying silly things for entertainment when you stop giving them attention for doing it. Yeah, halas.
And on that note,
yeah, that's been Jollof after Jummah.
we will though, because I know it's come up. We will touch on, because people might hear that and say, "Oh, but you're not going to discuss." Some of the elements that have been brought about by, you know, these red pill movements and certain personalities on the internet, etc.
Personalities.
They raise discussion points that, inshallah, we do plan on addressing. But you're not going to see an episode that says, "Yeah, Black Muslim podcasters share their thoughts on Andrew Tate," because that is washed. So we're not going to do that because that's washed.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn, we can't do it now. I've said it. Anyway, it would have been good for the views. But anyway, on that note, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ولما قسى قلبي وضاقت مذاهبي جعلت رجائي دون عفوك سلما تعاظمني ذنبي فلما قرنته بعفوك ربي كان عفوك أعظما فما زلت ذا عفو عن الذنوب لم تزل تجود وتعفو منة وتكرما.